I'm Daniel. How you doing today?
I'm excellent today. Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. Yeah, we're ready to have a good time. Sorry I'm late to the party, everybody. I was I was busy underground, 40 feet underground. You must excuse me. I'm serious, by the way.
Yeah, no. I told him where you were,
Oh,
what you
did
were
you?
doing. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I told him I saw a video of that shit because you sent me a video of it, and I said I'm way too claustrophobic. Like, no, thank you.
Yeah, that's what they said. They said a lot of people do get claustrophobic, and that's why they do that. But the part that was super hard was reversing through the tunnel. That was crazy right there. Have you seen that at all, Daniel? The whole loop thing.
I read about it a little bit a while back, but we were talking a little bit about it when we were testing this stuff just to make sure that my microphone was actually working. And it's weird. It's weird that they have a driver. It sounds like it's all futuristic and automatic, but then you have to drive it. That's like super lame.
They're definitely going to get rid of the drivers at some point.
Yeah, that's weird.
Yeah, just like everything else. Hey, man, maybe they could take some of your supplements while they go through the tunnel. Maybe that'll help them kind of get over their anxieties and stuff, right?
Laser in.
Yeah. Tell me about your supplement, man.
Well, that's it, man. We could depends on how far back you want to go, I suppose.
Take me as far back as possible.
All the way back.
All the way back.
Oh
like
man. Well, I won't go all the way back, but I don't know how this is gonna come out because I haven't actually told this publicly necessarily on a public forum really, but my customers know about all this stuff because I talk about it on my website. So long story short, I've had a life, a crazy life, narcotics all over the place. I was raised I was a weird situation. I was raised by my mom, but she was so poor that she raised me with another mom. So I had like two moms, and my dad was out of the picture when I was about 5, and he was a total psychopath, IV cocaine, like just he was on another level.
Yeah.
So that was like the dynamic. My mom was was super religious and my dad was a maniac. So growing up, I loved the stuff that my dad would talk about because he was so like cool and he was kind of hardcore. He'd get in fights all the time.
Yeah.
But he was in and out of prison, like Christmas time would come and I'd get $20, or the next year it was sorry, I'm locked up in such and such prison, so it was just a really weird upbringing. I didn't know when I was young, but all this stuff really affected me in a negative way mentally, I believe. So I leaned on drugs pretty early. I started I think around like 13 or something.
They brought you like some kind of happiness, huh? From the dopamine rush of the drugs, probably, right?
I think it was more about an escape because I felt so uncomfortable. I felt so anxious and uncomfortable when I was little. I was super scared all the time. So that's what I remember.
Being super scared and needing some comfort and turning to drugs. I mean,
Yep.
I'm sure a lot of teenagers they go through that. So I mean, even like talking about that right now, I mean, I'm sure so many people could relate to it. And so going through all those things with your upbringing and like dealing with pops going to jail and everything, I mean, all of those things like do so much to you psychologically. So that kind of brought you to where you are now with your supplement and everything, right? Like kind of finding something that can maybe like be some kind of a something to stimulate somebody and kind of like help them out in that kind of way, correct? Right?
Yeah. So if we fast forward 20, well, not 20 years, maybe 15 years or so, I started working for myself, and I had been in and out of rehab my whole life, up to this point. and I had stints of clean time and stuff, clean time with Alcoholics Anonymous and all that, whatever the stuff that they like shove in your face when you have drug problems. And so anyways, long story short, I started my own business and I had a lot of success with it. The internet was booming. This was, I don't know, almost 5 years ago or so.
Right.
And what happened was it was really successful and I ended up doing really well, but it wasn't very fulfilling. I got to the end of it and I was like, this shit sucks. But like just working for money sucks.
Felt too much like a job to you, huh?
Yeah, it was
a lot of work.
It was a lot of work, but at the end I wasn't fulfilled at all. Like,
right.
I had achieved exactly what I wanted to achieve, complete freedom, the revenue or income that I needed to live the lifestyle that I wanted to, travel and all that stuff. I was completely unfulfilled. So what I decided to do was, I needed to do something that was more in line with who I am. And I believe that I'm supposed to help people in some form or fashion. I get a lot of fulfillment from helping people. And there's a lot of different ways that I've discovered to do that. Like teaching is one thing I really like to do. Coaching people, helping them learn stuff. But this other way was, I knew a lot about supplementation through just years and years and years of study. I worked in the pharmaceutical industry for a year. And so I started researching how you can use supplementation to help with addiction problems.
Okay.
And what was so crazy to me. Now, mind you, I read studies. I've been reading studies for years.
Right.
What was so crazy to me was there was all this research done on very inexpensive amino acids and things like that can help with cravings to almost every compound with addiction potential. So like alcohol, heroin, cocaine, all the stuff, nicotine to some degree. And so here we have like, I don't know, 30 some million people. It's like 1 in 10 people in the United States admit that they have some sort of problem with narcotics. If you add alcohol and nicotine into that, I mean, God knows what it is. And here we have all this research for these cheap supplements that it's not a magic pill. It's not going to cure you, but it can reduce the cravings that you receive when you quit. Because when you stop, it's like torture, man. It's you get these cravings to do something you don't even want to do, and it can last for months or years. So the fact that there was this inexpensive solution to kind of give us a better chance, or give me a better chance at staying stopped, I felt like it needed to be, that story needed to be told.
Yeah, no, that's a great story right there. And a great way to come into the world with your product and everything, and bring something, a solution to a problem that a lot of people either do or don't realize that they have. I wonder if the people that do struggle with addiction and whatnot, do you think that they recognize that they have this severe addiction, or most of the time do you think it's like family and friends that have to point it out to them?
I think that there's definitely levels, like you go down the Skid Row, it's pretty obvious, but
right.
I was pretty good at hiding it. And so, but I knew inside before anybody else did, so I suppose it's different for everybody.
And your product is something that people have to like seek out via word of mouth, or is it something that you're getting to the point that maybe like people in rehab facilities are like, hey, there's the supplement you can take to help like curb that? Is that something like doctors or therapists or something?
Yeah, so the doctors and outpatient services and stuff, they already tell people, hey, you can take this, XYZ, it will help you with cravings, but nobody's packaged it up with other ingredients and packaged it up with the optimal dosages and sold it on a mass level. Nobody has told everybody, hey, this is possible. Because I'm telling, like, I've been to rehab, I don't know how many times, and I never heard about it. Like, no doctor ever told me about that. But it does happen. The more that, you know, I've researched and stuff, it does happen. And we have doctors hit us up and stuff and whatnot.
Do you think that that's like because like it all comes down to money and taking business away from like
Man, I laugh, but
people.
it's so sick. I hope not. I God.
You know, like there are companies
I had a
that have the
customer.
ability to help people that won't because it fucks with their profit.
That's a good point to bring up, Estela.
Yeah, no, it's interesting because we had some guy, he was like, him and his brother owned some big wig rehab facility in Texas or something. And he was talking shit on one of our Facebook ads. And then one of our customers was like, hey man, this thing actually works. Maybe you're just worried it's going to put you out of a job, you know? So
yeah,
I don't know.
Exactly.
Yeah, does big pharma kind of scare you at all? Like, do you ever think about that?
I just think about why nobody knows, man. It's like, I don't know. I think that it's weird because big pharma puts out all sorts of stuff, you know, like depression medications and things like that. That's what I sold. I worked in the neurology department for the third largest pharmaceutical company in the United States. And a lot of the studies and stuff on these normal medications, SSRIs, Wellbutrin, you know, the Zoloft, these common things, like 30% success rate. It's really not that good. So when you see data like I've seen for these, you know, inexpensive natural compounds to be effective in a similar fashion, it's just, I don't know, man, it's insane.
Well, it's just like vegans and veganism and all that shit getting like all kinds of heat for telling people that if they change their diet, they could like reverse, you know, the effects of like diabetes and things like that. And like, and you know me because like you and I hung out a lot when I was like kind of deep in that shit and like I wasn't eating meat or whatever. And but I never felt better. I've never like felt physically better, mentally clear as I did when I was eating like really clean and like on my exercise game and like
I think
and they try to keep people from doing that shit, like from jumping on those hypes.
I totally agree. I think that eating clean and being healthy in general really does help the mind. Have you ever like done like a fast and then like during the fast, you're thinking, man, I actually feel really good today. Like I'm thinking clear, I'm seeing clear. And then of course, you know, you end up getting hungry or whatever. So you go smash a burger and the next thing you know, your mind is all cloudy again.
You feel like shit.
Right. Yeah. It makes you wonder, like, what do they actually put in all the meat and everything that we're eating? You know what I'm saying?
Oh man, that's so true. I've done a decent amount of traveling, and every time I go to Asia or some sort of developing country, I end up way healthier. Like my body ends up way healthier. Within 2 weeks, I'm like shredded, you know, and I feel super good. It's kind of concerning, honestly.
It really
No,
is.
it is. Like when I went to Colombia, like I went there right, like literally I was telling you about how like I almost died from pneumonia 2 years ago. Well, I was really upset because I had the trip going to Colombia, like coming right then. I finished my round of all my antibiotics. I hopped on a flight to San Diego and was really nervous about traveling outside of the country after like I haven't even fully recovered from pneumonia. But I started feeling better when I got to Colombia. Like, I don't know if it's like the air felt cleaner, like not in Bogota, but like elsewhere. But like the food is different. Like
Maybe it was all the ass implants.
Yeah, no. I think it was I was eating shit that like local, like I wasn't eating at like their restaurant chains. I was eating at like little little pockets of like really like local people who like are just killing this shit and like making it right there to like sell it, you know what I mean? And it just the being in a different country, I think in a different climate and a different atmosphere, like helped me like mind, body, spirit. You know what I mean? Like,
It's probably because they don't put all of the different antibiotics in the meat and stuff like that, which eventually ends up in our stomach and makes us like have some kind of like an addiction to the food and everything.
well, and makes you antibiotic resistant.
Yeah, exactly. And so crave it helps with food cravings as well.
Yeah. So I made it when I was formulating this. It took about 2 years, and I was researching a lot, and most of this I did on my own. But I did work with like a formulations expert to finish this. And what I did was, it was made for drugs and alcohol. That's what it was made for. But from my experience with e-commerce, I knew that Facebook was going to be pissed as soon as I started advertising this. Big
Right.
Pharma was going to be pissed. You know, all of these people were going to be not happy that I'm talking about illegal things, you know, and B, have an expensive solution that can help better your chances of staying stopped. So I when I made the formula, I made it also for food cravings, because I could rebrand it and sell it that way if I had too many problems on social media and I was getting bullied too much by the powers that be. So
Right.
Mhm.
that is correct. Yeah, it does work for food cravings as well. By it's a long story, but basically, if we're able to maintain stable blood sugar levels in the body, then you have less cravings to manipulate your blood sugar level. Like if it's too low, you have cravings to eat carbs to bring it up. So if we can stabilize the blood sugar level in the body, then we have less cravings.
It's like a homeostasis thing.
Exactly.
What's a NAC?
Yeah. So NAC is the one I was so shocked about. That's the most studied antioxidant. That it's the main ingredient in Crave. This is the compound that's been most studied for addiction and compulsive actions of all kind, like compulsive hair pulling and stuff has been studied. Some interesting out there stuff, just compulsive actions in general. And we're not talking about a miracle cure here. We're talking about, say a group of 50 alcoholics were experiencing, 70% were experiencing really strong alcohol cravings. Then they were dosed with NAC for a period of time at a certain dose. Now only 20% experience alcohol cravings. So, again, so trying to better the chances.
Well, because there's levels, like not everybody experiences that at the same level.
Exactly. And it's so complex. I mean, you never know what's going on at home. You never know what's going on in the diet.
Totally. All the other factors.
Yeah, exactly.
So so if it like helps out with even like compulsive actions that we have on a daily, I guess, the people who used to be addicted to fidget spinners, they could just take some Crave and they probably not have the fidget in them no more, because that's also a compulsive disorder. Like I fidget a lot.
People who have
so I'm wondering,
who have to constantly be fucking with something like in order to focus.
I'm doing that right now.
Yeah.
Crave is not working for that, apparently.
I really want to try some now because it's interesting to me. I always prefer like going the more natural route. So I don't know, man. And there's such like a huge majority of people who really want and prefer the natural route. I mean, you already got people going vegan and everything, right? But like when it comes to like supplements that you put in your body, I mean, there's nothing better than actual like natural ingredients and things that will already, like your body almost already kind of produces some of this stuff, and then you're just kind of helping it out and everything. It's when you put in like the big pharma medications and everything that it seems like people become more and more messed up. And I mean, it's obvious. Everybody knows like they want to keep them on certain medications and everything like that. I mean, that is not a secret. I mean, that's how they keep the doors open and how they keep revolving around. I got somebody I know and love in my life, right? And they have MS. And they told me about this story, how there is this dude who has this great study on stem cell research and everything, and how it can really help people with MS. And he wanted to present to the organization that would throw the conventions and talk about the different ways that people with MS can overcome MS. And they always they spoke about, big pharma drugs and things that they can take to help them cope with it. But the guy who was presenting the stem cell research, he was trying to show them like that this can actually cure them of the MS, and how there's actual people who had MS. They done this stem cell therapies and whatnot and overcame it. And he wanted to present to them. Next thing you know, the guy, he got, offed, and that's like just the wildest thing to me. Or even like the story about all of the doctors on the plane in Indonesia, and then the plane disappears, and they're all doctors who were studying how to get rid of HIV and AIDS.
I remember that one.
Yeah,
It's fucking crazy. Be careful, Daniel.
Yeah, thanks, man.
I know we're like scaring Daniel and stuff right now. We're like, it's done. This is a murder mystery podcast now. No, I'm playing.
Yeah, give it a go. I'll send you some. It's not the way that I made Crave was it's very when someone quits using some sort of substance on a regular basis, it's very predictable what they experience when they stop. Very, very
that happens for people with sugar or just changing their diet, caffeine, like breaking any habit, like if your body's used to it.
Correct. Like take sugar, for example. We'll just use that. Everybody's pretty familiar. You stop using it, you get cravings to use it. I don't know if you've ever done the keto diet, but the cravings that you get for carbohydrates are insane. So it's narcotics and alcohol. It's similar, but just times it by 10 and then times the reward by 10, so it's hard. But anyways, so when you can predict what's going to happen, cravings, issues with anxiety, problems with sleeping, we can try to, the new level research is the supplement brand to help address each one of those hurdles that we know people are going to experience. So like we have a sleep product to help with sleep. And Crave is not just for cravings. It also touches on mental performance, because people get so much brain fog and like problems thinking and concentrating when they stop. And also anxiety and stress, because that gets amplified as well. So normal people take it too.
I have to holler at you for somebody near and dear to me.
Which everybody in the world is experiencing today, the anxiety and stress, just to piggyback off of what you just said. And I think that the social medias and everything are a part of that, and the reason why people are experience all these anxieties and stress. And so, yeah, man,
for real.
Yeah, I think it's super important. So I wanna tie the convo into what I brought up in the very beginning. Now, I want to talk about Elon Musk a little bit. All right. So
yeah, let's do it.
I want to bring up how there's speculation that Elon Musk might actually be an alien here on Earth right now. And he's trying to find his way back home. I don't know. I just thought he would
know, he would know how to get home if he got here. Right.
Mm-hmm. I would think so. I would imagine so. I mean, he's doing so many crazy things, and so on June 1st they're supposed to be presenting all of these facts about UFOs and everything that have been visiting us over the years and everything. So I just find it interesting.
Who's they?
The government.
Ooh.
Right.
Well, I sent him this like thing that I saw, and it says like supposedly from the Telegraph saying that the Pentagon confirmed leaked videos of UFOs like over U.S. Navy ships are like genuine.
Yeah. Yeah. This is one of those topics where I'm so surprised that people actually don't get more amped up about it. Like this is one of those topics that I'm so stoked about, because I know from the research that I've done that it's real. Now I don't know who's behind these things that are flying around in the sky. I couldn't tell you, but I know that is real. And And what, I mean, if there's actually an alien behind this goddamn ship flying around, I mean, that's like the coolest thing ever. I mean, imagine what we could become, you know?
Yeah, it's just crazy to me that people think that there's no way there's no life outside of Earth. Like, that's wild to me, because I don't see how that could be fucking possible. You know, like they're supposedly in some other galaxy, there's like an Earth, but like 5 times the size of Earth. Now, if they have water and they have these things, how is there not any, at least bacteria or whatever, like living? You know what I mean? Like, even at the very, like Mars, is there any kind of like bacteria or anything on Mars that they've found?
Well, the universe is massive. It's very hard to kind of wrap the human brain around how large the universe is. The best way to kind of try and quantify it is the sun. Our sun is a dwarf star. It's actually a small star, and you look into the sky and you see all of the stars burning all over the place. Those are similar to our sun, most likely bigger. And another interesting one is, I don't remember the exact number. It's 1.2 or 1.3 million Earths can fit inside of our sun. Just for some scale.
There's just no way that there isn't any other life anywhere except for Earth.
Well, yeah.
Like,
I mean, there's
just
100% got to be more life around there. And I'm like somehow like convinced by this little theory I have in my own head that we're definitely in some kind of simulation, and that like we're avatars. Like, who knows? Maybe we're like the video game of an alien.
Well, we've talked about this, because I literally go to sleep and I feel like Avatar. Like, I go to sleep, I close my eyes, and I feel like I wake up in a whole other realm, and I'm like doing life somewhere else. I wake up exhausted, like, and like I just got done having this whole other life, like legitimately.
What if dreams? Now this is gonna be
I'm going through the motions somewhere else with like completely different people. Like,
is it Earth? Does it look the same?
It's not Pandora or anything like that, but like it is Earth-like. And if it was Earth, like I want to say it feels like Egypt, to be honest. Like I'm waking up somewhere else, and I'm going through the motions, going to work, having conversations and relationships with people, and then I'm closing my eyes there and waking up here. Does that make sense?
It does make sense.
Fucking weird. So like blow your mind.
A little bit.
Mind. I wake up here exhausted.
Not really.
Like I haven't been sleeping. Like I was actually alive somewhere else.
What if dreams are actually the alien's little brother picking up the headset and having a little adventure and fun?
Just fucking with you.
That's why in dreams, like, we do shit we wouldn't normally do in real life.
Third person sometimes in my dreams as well.
Ooh, that's interesting. Are you in the room?
Yeah, like I'm watching myself, like I'm controlling myself in a video game.
That's like called lucid dreaming, right?
Yeah, I have lucid dreams for sure.
That's really interesting. I wonder sometimes about, if we knew all the answers, how crazy the answers actually are, like how close to science fiction reality actually is.
Yeah,
I have a feeling it's much closer than we realize.
And like, do you ever have dreams that are like premonitions? Because I've talked about this, where I had a dream before I ever moved to Oregon and I lived in Montana. I had a dream that kept taking place at this one spot. And it wasn't until I went to Lane Community College that I had the epiphany that my dream was taking place at Lane Community College. Is that fucking crazy?
Yeah, I'm like having chills right now because I'm thinking of like,
I know, but like you know what that campus looks like, right, Daniel? Like,
yeah.
The way that the concrete's set up is architecturally like not similar to a lot of places.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so that's why when I got there and I started attending school there, it was like, oh, you know, like, oh my God, I've dreamed about this place multiple times within the last couple of years. And like now I'm seeing this place.
Have you had any gifts or weird things growing up besides that?
Not that I'm aware of. But the premonition dream thing is something I feel like I've always had.
Hmm.
I don't know. It's wild. On the topic of aliens, maybe I am one.
Yeah, no, there's something that we should definitely touch on. I don't know how deep into this we should go because it's pretty out there, but it's something that's helped me tremendously, and more people need to know about it. So I'll go here.
Let's dive deep. Yeah.
I'll go here. So in regards to being like two places at once and maybe a matrix of some kind. So I had a really, really hard time with COVID, really hard time with isolation, tons of anxiety, tons of depression, like the deepest depression ever. It's hard to even explain how bad it affected my mental. Not being around people, being by myself. I was in Puerto Rico for some of the time, and they had us locked in we couldn't even go outside to get food. We couldn't even go outside to exercise. And the food delivery service was 2 weeks backed up. So go figure how you're supposed to eat. Anyways, so I ended up in this position where, I mean, I'm running a company, you know, I have employees. I'm a leader. I need to be able to function. And I was just debilitated with this depression. And so it's been a long time since I had to be on any sort of medication like that. And so I went back on Wellbutrin, which is a depression medication that's worked decently well for me in the past. And it didn't do anything. So I started researching more, and there's this different type of treatment that's extremely effective for depression. Is called ketamine infusions. Have you guys heard of ketamine before?
I'm aware of the word, but I don't know really enough about it to be like, yeah, I know what that is.
Ketamine, it's something that makes you happy, right?
Well, it's abused quite a bit in the rave scene.
There you go.
They'll do a lot of ketamine and basically just they go into what's called a K-hole and just kind of like sink into nothingness. When you abuse it, it's pretty wild. I don't know. It doesn't seem very fun to me, but
right.
Anyways, it's an anesthetic. It's used to, kind of like do procedures on people without them being without respiratory depression, because lots of those medications will suppress breathing. So it's very safe medication that's used for a long time. So what they found is that in large doses through infusions for small periods of time, it can reduce depression symptoms within minutes. And
how?
Infusion as in through an IV.
Oh, okay.
Through your vein, like intravenous.
Okay.
And in 2019, the FDA actually approved a version of ketamine because it was generic and no pharmaceutical companies could make any money on it. So they had to change a molecule and then put it out again. And so in 2019, that happened so they could all make money on it. And it's a nasal ketamine spray for depression. The problem is that you have to go into this clinic, I think daily or twice a week or something, in order for it to work. So it's a real pain in the ass. So the alternative is these infusions, and that's kind of the original thing that's been studied and worked so well. Problem is it's not covered by insurance. It's super expensive, but the success rate is like 70%. And we're talking about treatment-resistant depression, 70%, not 70% in general. The people that no medications work for, 70% of them get better. So I pulled the trigger, and it absolutely worked. It totally 180'd me within a matter of weeks.
That's crazy.
It's pretty amazing.
And yeah, and I don't know how deep we want to get into this again, but people need to know about this because it's not covered by insurance. So it's not very well kind of known, whatever.
It's not like pushed.
Pharma's not making any money on it.
Gotcha.
It's generic, so it costs like $500 a session. And I still do it once a month. once every 3 weeks right now, to maintain, just kind of like taking an antidepressant. You have to take it daily. This, you have to take it once a month. So I go into the doctor's office, it's a whole doctor, like legit thing. And they hook up this IV for an hour. But what I was going with this is that what happens with ketamine is it shuts down your brain to the point where you no longer have an ego or that voice, that kind of like feedback that says, gives you feedback about the world around you.
Right.
So and so is pretty. Does my hair look good? Like, did my voice sound funny? Like that voice,
Yeah.
That voice gets completely shut off. And the way that I can best explain it is you go somewhere else. Like your spirit, legitimate. This is what it feels like. Leaves your body completely, and you go way out to some other place, and you hang out there and meet people, things, and get travel around and smell things and see things and hear things for about 45 minutes or so.
What?
Wait.
That's crazy. Like it's like a out of body experience kind of
100%.
Holy shit.
Well, where is your body while this is happening? Just laying down?
The body's in a chair, and I'm completely conscious. I completely know where I am, what I'm doing, who I am, who my parents are, everything. Everything is completely normal mentally, but your spirit, that voice is shut off, and then your spirit just gets projected out, is what it seems like.
I wonder if you were to ask people who also get these injections if they have the same experience.
Definitely they do.
They do? You've had conversations?
Yeah, and what's creepy about this is if you look into near-death experiences, they believe that ketamine replicates a near-death experience because the brain shuts down in a similar way when you pass away. And so it's almost like duplicating a near-death experience. And if you research near-death experiences, they're almost exact copies of the ketamine experience.
Holy fuck, man.
It's deep.
That's crazy.
Blown away right now.
My mind is like really blown right now.
I want some ketamine. Sold to the highest bidder. Oh my goodness.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Dude, you just blew my mind.
Seriously, dude.
I'm telling you guys,
I'm like speechless right now. I don't even know what to fucking say.
For someone that's been through the ringer with mental health, like I have, to find something that is that effective, it doesn't exist. It doesn't exist. And so, yeah. So you have, on one hand, you have the effectiveness, the efficacious nature of the drug, which is fantastic. And then on the other hand, you have this experience that you go through, which gives you a completely different perspective on your life. Because when that happens to you, I'm not telling you think it's happening. Like it happens. It happens. It happens. Your whole world around you is completely different, and you're seeing it vivid, just like I see you. Like it's a trip. So when that happens to you and you come back, you have a whole different perspective on what's important in your life. You realize how small everything is here.
Have you seen the movie Soul, the new Disney movie?
No.
You definitely should. Because it's kind of that like this guy, so this character in this movie. Okay, so you know how like there's always this concept when of when you die, your soul leaves and goes to this other place, right? It's not really completely gone. It's just like in another place, right? So in this movie, these souls are kind of like in another realm, and they keep an eye on Earth and the people who are physically alive, like there. And so, when it's your time, kind of a thing, somebody comes, like the Grim Reaper basically comes and like takes your soul, right? Like you die in the physical world, but your soul goes elsewhere. So in this movie, obviously not as dark because it's a Disney movie, like they accidentally take somebody before it was their time, right? Like it was an accident that he died and he wasn't supposed to, but he was just on the verge of his break, he was a musician, he was like, and his whole journey is to try to get back into his body. But what he realizes is what the thing that sets him free was when he finally understood his actual purpose. To help people.
There's a part in that movie though specifically that really gave me ketamine vibes, like when he was describing it to me what ketamine does. The part in the movie where there's like a hippie dude in the real world who's twirling signs on the corner. And when they go and try to find all of the lost souls, there's a guy who his soul is in this place, but really he's on earth, but his soul is in this place.
He's
the piece,
the dual thing. Yeah.
Yes. And he's the one that's helping people find their souls. And then, he'll take them back to earth if they really discover their true person and their true passion. And he'll help them find it and navigate it. But he's really on earth, but his spirit is in this spirit realm where all of the lost souls are. And it's giving me mad ketamine vibes right now because it's making me feel like, damn, this is what happens with ketamine. Man. It takes you to the place where your soul has been lost and helps you kind of find who you are and the true beauty and essence of yourself. You see?
That's exactly what happens.
That really can only be achieved when you release the ego.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's almost like the ego is
Nirvana.
a filter. It feels like Nirvana. Where you go, I'm just gonna send it, right? I realize how crazy this sounds, but whatever.
Not at all.
Where you go, there is no pain, there is no fear, there's no it's just peace and love. That's all that you can really experience. There is no ego at all. There's no judgment. There is nothing. Your brain doesn't really function. It's almost like that part gets turned off.
I wonder if our bodies,
the part too that compels you to do all the fucked up shit to yourself.
Totally.
I wonder if our bodies naturally produce ketamine, or is it completely something that
completely man-made?
Man-made.
Yeah, completely. Which is weird because it seems to be a key that unlocks something in the very powerful, completely man-made.
So I wonder if they because how in Buddhism, Nirvana is the ultimate goal, right? Complete enlightenment. And their journey, their life is basically their journey to achieving that. I wonder if you would if we were to look at their brains when they're at that point, you know what I mean? What that would look like in comparison to somebody like you who have achieved that via ketamine. Do you know what I'm saying with do you know where I'm going with this?
I think there's a lot of similarities with turning off that inner voice, the ego, and meditation.
Yeah.
And that is something, of course, that's you guys are aware is very popular in that area.
Yeah.
I would have to look this up, but I wonder if ketamine is kind of like the artificial DMT.
Yeah, interesting. So DMT, they say they've found within the human biology itself. So that's one difference. DMT supposedly natural. Well, it's found in a ton of plants. So it is natural. Ketamine's not. And I've done DMT. I went to Peru and did ayahuasca with shamans in the jungle for a week.
Oh my goodness.
I'm telling you, man, I've been around the block with this stuff. So that's one of the reasons why this ketamine experience has been so powerful and so telling. But yeah, so I've done the oral version of DMT in Peru myself.
Can you tell me about your experience with the ayahuasca Peru trip?
I did a YouTube video. It's called Can Ayahuasca Cure Addiction is the title. And I did a video on it at I'm blanking on the name of the place. What's the
Machu Picchu?
Machu Picchu. Yeah. At Machu Picchu. It's pretty cool. but it's a way of life out there. It's not people dedicate their whole lives to working with plants. So it's not just when you're mixing with these people in Peru, it's like what they've been born and bred to do for 20 years. You know, their grandparents and their grandparents have been working with plants. They take it super seriously. It's like their world. They believe that the earth has all sorts of different, like you can communicate with the earth and the plants, and I don't know. So they take it pretty seriously. And the ayahuasca for me was, it was probably the hardest thing I've ever done in my life. Actually, it was like all of the therapy that I've ever been in, and I've been through a lot since I was little, all combined into 3 hours is kind of what it's like.
Like physically feeling your like mental and emotional like trauma wise, like
yes, yeah.
wow.
So it's almost like you're being well, it's not almost like, this is what happens is you're shown all of these things that from some source that seems like wise or that has much more knowledge than you do, and you're told all of these kind of things that you don't know, and taught all of these things and shown all of these things, and a lot of it has to do with your past trauma or current things that you're struggling with. So anything that you're trying to hide gets revealed, which is probably the hardest part. Like you cannot hide anything from this experience. You're gonna learn about it.
Is there somebody like kind of mediating this experience, or is it something that's all happening within the ayahuasca experience?
Yeah, it's making my heart beat fast just even talking about this. It's
Sorry,
so
man.
crazy. Yeah, no, there's a shaman, there's a main shaman, there's a couple different assistants, there's nurses as well. It's in what's called a maloka, which is basically a round hut, and all the Westerners or people that came there for the ayahuasca ceremonies lay down in a circle, and you drink the ayahuasca. It's like a brew. It tastes terrible. And then when you drink it, you actually throw it up again. And in fact, you might throw up a lot. And there was a guy that shit himself. I mean, your body is like ridding itself from, I don't know, they say other toxicity that you brought into the ceremony. But yeah, you throw it up, and then the whole world becomes a different world, and you're taught a lot of different stuff. The most telling part about the ayahuasca was I was taught stuff that I had no idea about. So I don't know how that happens or where it comes from, but I know it definitely didn't come from me.
That's crazy.
So interesting, man.
Is actually a big reason why I did New Level. There's a huge reason why I launched New Level and focused on it wholly, because one of the things that I was told, quote unquote, was the secret to success has nothing to do with any sort of monetary gain whatsoever. The secret to success is actually aligning your work with who you are inside. Because what happens when you align your work with who you truly are, you step into this position of power. You step in this position of alignment. People start to notice. It's much easier to learn when you're aligned with who you truly are as a person. It goes much deeper than that. I was basically taught this whole circle of success and how it works. And so that's why I started New Level.
Yeah, man. No, I mean, I totally get that, because I think once you really find your passion and it doesn't feel like work, you discover that's what you really truly want to do. And it fulfills you. Like when you feel like when you're helping others, and it's not all about the monetary gain, like you said. So I could definitely see how an experience like that can kind of take you to where you are now with the New Level research. Speaking of research, man, I'm just blown away by how it seems like all of your years, like starting from your childhood on up, just based off of everything you told me, like you've been like searching for like answers all along, and then going to places like Peru to try an ayahuasca experience. You've tried ketamine, you've tried DMT. It's like you're searching like beyond what we know as reality as well for answers on how to like really truly discover your true self. Like that's seems to be like your actual journey, like discovering like your true self, what makes you really happy, and then helping others do the same thing.
More people should
Yeah.
do that. I think a lot of people are just so caught up with like the hustle and bustle of like survival that like they don't take the time or don't even want to face that kind of shit, you know, like
Totally.
you know what I mean?
For me, I just experienced so many consequences from that way of life, you know, just kind of putting my head down and ramming through. I experienced so many consequences. I just had, the way I see it, I really had no choice but to try and peel back the layers and try and figure out what's really going on, because all of the Western answers had failed me over numerous times. So.
Well, it's good that you had the self-awareness, like to like be introspective, you know, like to really to want the motivation, the discipline, the self-awareness to like really and to face the part of you that a lot of people don't want to face, you know, to like really dive deep and go to like what the root of all of that shit is, and then do the work to like fix it and move away from that. Like that's a huge thing to be proud of, and like that's a major accomplishment. That's incredible. Like it just speaks to your character, you know.
I really appreciate you guys saying that. For me, I just feel like I'm fumbling around, like in the dark, you know, trying to figure it out. But there is some truth to that. I think one of the things that's been apparent is that I'm here to do something. I'm here to do something important in some form or fashion, and I'm decent at communicating. So maybe me just making all of these mistakes and suffering, you know, for so long, and just being a knucklehead all the time and smashing my head against the wall and trying all these different things and communicating my results is part of that, you know, part of what I'm supposed to do. I'm not really sure. I appreciate that though. Thank you.
Because like, and that's how I feel about podcasting, because I feel like growing up, I didn't have a lot of supervision, you know, and to be someone who I felt like had a shit ton of potential and not have like that mentorship or that positive role model or influencer or someone talking to me or to talk to me, like that's kind of been the reason why I've worked in the fields that I've worked in, like working with unaccompanied youth and working with kids and teenagers. And then because I wanted to be able to help them by talking to them and being there for them the way that I felt like I needed somebody. And like, and that's what I feel like podcasting does as well, because I think people learn from people. Like you don't just, you learn from your experiences, but you also learn when you can reflect and have conversations with people, you know, and from hearing about shit and being able to relate to it on whatever level you can relate to it to. And then what happens from that is the reflection and the, like, you know what I mean? The shit that comes with that. And that's what I like about podcasting. Because I think that, like, even though we fuck around on here, you know, sometimes we're just
quite a bit
fucking going for it on whatever topics. Yeah. But the feedback we get the most is that these topics are very relatable, and like people feel them on whatever level they feel them, because they're thinking it, they're living it, whatever. But like, it is that opportunity to, like, for me to get it out there and let people know, like, hey, you're not alone, kind of a deal, you know?
Other people have foot fetishes and stuff.
I do. I don't have a foot fetish, but
I'm starting to have one.
Jimmy's starting to have one.
Just for my wife though. Like
Yeah.
I don't look at like the foot cam on the Monday episodes and be like, oh my gosh. But
Yeah, that would be
I
weird.
feel
Don't do
naked
that.
without the foot
yeah.
cam.
Oh yeah. No, I'm sorry. Not on this podcast. Sorry.
Nah,
I won't
nah,
do
nah,
that
nah.
voice.
Yeah, please don't. I hate that voice. I literally hate it. But well, that's the other piece with the foot fetish thing, you know, like part of me now feels like I'm helping this community not feel weird about something that is like something that they can't help. Like you can't help what you're attracted to. You know, like feet turn them on, they can't help that. Like a lot of these people who have this fetish talk about that they never understood it as when they were children, when they were like wanting to see feet, yeah, and like the way that it made them feel until they were older and realized what it was. But then there's still a lot of shame because people talk about people who have foot fetishes like they're fucking weirdos and this, that, and the other. And so like that's the part of me that like I'm fulfilled with like helping people. Like I feel like I'm helping that community like feel more normal and like okay and not weird about their shit, you know.
Totally. You know what's interesting about what you're saying is that when I think the most powerful an individual can be is when they are exposing their darkest secrets, like their darkest shortcomings, the things that they don't want people to know. You know, that's one change that it was so hard for me to make on a public forum like a business. In order for New Level to work, I have to admit some shit that I really don't want to talk about. You know, I've spent my whole life trying to guard it, hide it, you know, pass drug tests, you know, whatever. And so that's interesting because I think there's a lot of power that comes from vulnerability.
Oh, so much, dude. Like, and that's why I was when like we were talking before we got on this thing, and I was like, you hung out with me when I had like nothing, basically. Like I did have my own place, but I didn't have like a couch. Like we'd watch TV on my bed that I had in the living room so that we can have somewhere to sit, like because I had wood floors, you know. And there's just been several times where I've had to start over, you know, coming back down here. I was like homeless for several months living out of my car, and that's not like a fun thing to admit to people. But what's cool looking back is like to look back at all the times that I was able to like pull myself out of like really shitty situations, you know, and like I don't want to ever come off as someone who's never gone through hard times, you know, because I think that it's like with social media, people often see the highlights and oh, they think this is so great, this and that. Like that entire time that I was homeless, nobody knew except for like the closest people to me. So when I finally posted the picture of me laying on my living room floor, that when I just got this apartment a year ago, like people were like, oh my God, I had no idea. I was like, yeah, dude, I was like living out of my car and couch surfing for several months and saving money to get to this point. Like
started from the bottom.
People relate to it though, and they feel less bad about going through their shit because they don't feel alone.
Man,
you know?
That is so true. I hope that this podcast blows up so you can be one of those people that's like, man, you know, you can be one of those relatable people that, you know, have success and, you know, because you're so much more grateful and, you know, you come from nothing. I remember hanging out with you. You were crazy. Like I remember you had opportunities to make money or do this or that, but you're so focused on the goals that you had. You were willing to sacrifice monetarily and like what's the word? You were willing to sacrifice stuff to get where you were going. I remember that a lot about you when we were younger. And I also remember when you wore yoga pants around your house with that bed in the living room. And then I hit on you and then you stiff armed me. I remember that very well.
I did.
We gotta get a little
I did.
laugh track for that one.
But it wasn't like I'm not attracted to you. I don't think you're a cool guy. It was like.
She said, what are your intentions?
Yeah, I said, what are your intentions?
What are your intentions?
That's what I said.
And then I smiled and didn't say anything.
Yeah.
And walked out.
Like, yeah.
Good answer after a stiff arm.
No, but like we remained cool. Like I helped you do some shit like for the things that you were doing at that time. Like,
yeah, we worked together for a second.
We did. I helped take care of your shit for you while you were in another country.
That's true.
Was it Peru?
Thailand.
Oh,
was it Thailand?
I think it was Thailand. Yeah.
Are you a Muay Thai fighter too?
I wish. I boxed for a little bit, but my body breaks down. I get injured all the time.
It's not a normal sport, man. I don't think that people are meant to like beat up each other all the time. And that's kind of what boxing is. Like you get in there and spar a lot and get used to fighting, and then you fight with no headgear on and get knotted up, and then, I don't know. It's not normal. You see how a lot of the boxers are like, in their later years. I mean, not like dissing or nothing like that, but I mean, it's just facts.
Facts. My coach was this guy that spent a ton of time in prison and was super institutionalized, and he boxed through his prison term and was really good. I guess he won some sort of championship that they have there. And he was my coach. He was super intimidating. And one time he hit me super hard without headgear on. And I'm like, dude, aren't you my coach? Like he literally, I got some sort of hardcore concussion from this dude.
Isn't that one guy that I met too?
Ginnick?
At the gym, yeah.
Ginnick is his name. He's kind of squatty and shaved head, tattoos. Yeah, I don't know. He was hardcore.
Dang, that doesn't sound like somebody that I would like to take a punch in the head from. Somebody with squatty legs, because that's where the power comes from. That's why Mike Tyson was such a beast and used to knock people's heads off, because he had so much power coming from his legs and
entire body.
His entire body. Yeah.
It wasn't just top heavy.
That's crazy, man.
I wonder if Elon Musk has squatty legs,
Hey, you want to know what's funny about this company that's doing the whole loop thing on their little like introduction packet? They ask, what is your answer going to be when people ask, have you ever smoked pot with Elon Musk? I'm like, what?
They really asked you that?
Yes. They asked me that on a test today. They said,
what'd you say?
I said, I know nothing about that. And they said, perfect answer.
Wow, that's interesting.
That's why I think he's an alien. Like, what kind of unorthodox test question is that?
Maybe that's why he bought so much Bitcoin. Maybe he knows something we don't.
Yeah, for real though. Dang, he did spend like 1.9. No, what was it? 1.9 billion?
1.5.
1.5 billion on Bitcoin.
10% of the cash on their balance sheet, I believe, or close to it, somewhere 8%.
Yeah, cryptocurrency is going absolutely nuts right now. Yeah,
I'm so excited. I can't wait. I can't wait to give the finger to the banks and just all of those. I cannot wait. I hope I see it.
I personally, I'm with you on that, but I don't think it's going to happen. I think that they're going to work with the coins that operate alongside the banks. I think that's what's truly going to happen. I don't think that decentralizing everything with a cryptocurrency is going to be widely accepted, because the bank system, they don't want to fall off. So they're going to, get with the movement. Yeah. So they're going to figure out which cryptocurrencies and technologies are being created that make them make more money. They're going to figure out a way to make everybody who is using the decentralized coins and figure out a way to get that out of there. I don't know, that's just my
It
prediction.
was an interesting thing to do, like with taxes, because it's not tied to like
Right.
banks.
Traditional
Like, it was
banking,
yeah,
yeah.
it was a really
Almost.
weird thing when I did my taxes. I was like, why are you asking me this if you can't really tax me on it?
Right. And I just
I
read something
was
that
confused.
they can't even tax you on it unless you use it to buy or sell goods, and then you accept it or use it as payment.
It's such a gray area in accounting.
Yes.
I'm dealing with it now. We used to accept it. I'm going to accept it again soon on the site, but it's so messy. Just on an investment side, it's really messy.
I can imagine
now.
how that could be. So,
You know, that I think that you're right. I think the banks are gonna they have to figure out a way to monetize it, right? So they're gonna figure
Yeah.
out how to make
Yeah,
money.
dig their
They're too
claws.
powerful.
way
Yeah.
too powerful.
Yeah, they're too powerful. But I hope that what comes out of this, if the government will allow it, is some sort of kind of detached or separate rails that you can kind of opt into. I just don't know. You know, like there's these privacy coins that mean you don't have to provide your identification. You don't have to,
Right.
you know, do all this stuff. I have a feeling they're probably going to ban it all, but I hope that
I
doesn't
totally
happen.
agree, especially with those privacy coins, because those privacy coins were created because they felt like they were more private than Bitcoin. Because
Mhm.
now you're able to see all of the transactions on Bitcoin, and they could track back addresses of Bitcoin back to whatever wallet it came from, whatever exchange it came from. But now, if you're using some kind of hardware wallet, there's damn near no way to track that. They don't know who owns that address in the hardware wallet. They only know who owns the address on the software, the Coinbase wallet, or whatever exchange they use. So there's almost no way for them to track that part. But I'm sure there's like a way, like there's so many different addresses in just tied back to a specific transaction, but like there's like a way that they probably could use those privacy coins to get away from that. But obviously at some point they're going to consider that probably some kind of infraction or something. Like you'll get in trouble probably for that kind of stuff, and you'll have to use these certain bank coins, these CBDCs or what have you. So it's very interesting. I mean, that's a whole nother ball game. I mean, I've looked into cryptocurrency quite a bit, so I'm like a crypto nerd actually.
I love it. I love it. When I say middle finger to the banks, if there's a total overhaul, I'd be so stoked. But just more, even just being able to take my money out. I've moved almost everything out of the traditional banking system. Almost everything.
I'm not mad at you, bro.
Yeah, and I'm so happy about it. I can send you any amount of money I want in seconds, and it's almost free, and nobody can tell me that I can't. And I love that, because I've had so many problems with banks. I've had banks shut down my accounts. I've had you go into a bank and try to deposit a $10,000 check and see how long it takes until you actually have access to that money.
Right.
Okay,
It's insane.
I see you over there. You know a little bit about stellar lumens XRP and stuff like that. I see you. Is that what you're talking about right now?
Well, I mean, I'm aware of those, but I think Stella is the big investor in XRP, and
Well, it's because of Jimmy. It was because he told me like a year and a half ago, like it was a while ago, maybe almost 2 years.
Hey, I was thinking Stella one day. I was like, man, you're like my only friend that actually listened to any of my crypto rants and actually went ahead and invested
Put money
in it.
in, yeah.
And I was like, you know what, I'm gonna send you like a little thank you. Like I think it was like 100 XRP. Now it's like worth like $200. That what I sent her.
Yeah.
Whoops.
He's like, I'm gonna give you a little bit more, like this and this, and now it's like going up, and I'm like, holy fuck, dude! Like,
right,
that's cool. Like,
I'm glad. I'm glad that these. What's the generation right now that like 18-year-old? What's that generation? 18 to 25.
I think it's the Generation X.
No, Gen Z.
No? Oh, Gen Z. Okay.
The super internet phone kids,
Yeah.
Gen Z.
Yeah.
Those guys, man, they kind of had a messed up like there wasn't quite as much opportunity, I feel like, for these guys. They're coming up, college is just ridiculously expensive.
Oh, yeah.
Go to college, it's not worth anything, and then you end up $50,000 in debt. Sweet.
That's why they're all YouTubers and TikTokers.
Totally. And now they have crypto, and I'm so stoked. I'm like, yes, there's a bailout for these kids.
I think that if you just can't realize what's the future and you refuse to go along with it, you'll just get ran over.
We got into a debate with this guy online because he's like, the problem with this world is people don't want to be doctors and lawyers and shit anymore. Like, these kids didn't cut grass. You could tell that they didn't have little hustles when they were kids because they're all like in their devices and YouTube and playing video games. And Jimmy's like, well, they can make money off that shit. Like, he's all, well, that's just not like, just because he was mad, I feel like that he isn't doing it. Even though he's lightweight, like trying to put himself out there on the internet, it's not good enough for his kids. And we were trying to explain, like, just because it's on YouTube and it looks like they just sit there and make a video, there's a lot more work to it to build enough of a fan base to actually monetize and like actually survive and like get by on that. And like, he was just so pissed, and it's like, this man obviously isn't adapting the way that this
but
world
he's trying
is moving.
But he's trying to do it himself, but he doesn't want his son to be somebody who adapts to it. Like, it sounded like he wants his son to be like a labor worker, iron worker or something like that. And I'm just like, cool, if he wants to do that, cool. But I'm just saying, he could take that trade skill that he's gained and learn to provide help to the world or whatnot, and use that to monetize it on his own kind of way as well. He could take it to YouTube or Twitch or whatever the heck he decides to do, or whatever platform is available 10, 20 years from now. And he can, be an expert at it because he was on his tablet when he was young and, learning all the ways on how to use technology and apps and stuff like that. So instead of trying to restrict them from the future, dude, sometimes you just got to go with the flow. You're going to get ran over. It's kind of like when Redbox presented to Hollywood Video and Blockbuster that, hey, we got this vending machine that's going to spit out movies and it's probably going to take over. We'll offer you to buy us for $1 million.
That was Netflix.
No, before Netflix, though, it was Redbox, though, before Netflix.
I feel like Netflix was first.
Well, whatever one is first, right? So they both took over the market, right? And the other guys got shut down when they had a chance, an opportunity to buy Netflix and Redbox and things like that. And then they got ran over. They weren't about that future. Yeah. So that goes for the parents who aren't, about the way of the world in the future going forward and the way the world is progressing. If you don't allow your children to adapt and grow in that world, then by the time they're adults, they're going to be more lost than the kids you think that are going to be lost from being on the tablets and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
I hate it when try to force a certain narrative. Oh man, I grew up in a really religious situation, and that's not negative. In fact, it's amazing for so many people. But if it's not what vibes with the kid, it can be so divisive. So it's sketchy, man. When you're a parent, you're telling your kids what to do, like what they can be and what they can believe and stuff. I think it shoves a wedge right in between you if they don't agree with you.
That's what he said. He's all, my kid will never do this. And I was like, oh, I guess I'm of the mind where my kids are going to do whatever the fuck makes them happy. And you know what I mean? Like, totally. I would rather my kid be happy creating content on YouTube than working for somebody else, hating their job, hating their life, and having no freedom. I said, at least with like my daughter has a YouTube channel. She's not like on there with her face and her voice doing shit. She's creating little videos of like her anime and like she's animating shit, graphic arts, whatever, and posting that on YouTube. And crazy. I'm not going to sit here and be like, you can't do that because I don't want you staring at YouTube all day long. Right. I'm saying, what do you need, babe? Do we need to get you a laptop? What kind of software you need to like level up your game? I'm here for it. Because my daughter, you know her, I have like really good kids. Totally. I'm tooting my horn on that. Like, she's been asking me for like the last year or two, like, how old does she need to be to get a job? I said, well, babe, like, legally, if you want to go get a job somewhere, I'm like, but you can like make money off your art. You can commission your art. Like why not do that? Like,
and besides,
starting to build her platform, and she's probably going to have income coming in before she's 18, like off this shit. And I'm fucking here for it. You know, like, let's go, sister.
Yes, ma'am. And besides, like now there's something called NFTs too.
Ooh.
So the young artists, man, they got a whole new world ahead of them that they'll be able to utilize and dive into the NFT world. Like that right there is the future as well. It sounds like you know what I'm talking about.
Oh
Daniel.
man, I'll tell you what, I got absolutely annihilated with my NFT positions the past week. Oh man, it was nasty.
Oh man, I'm so sorry to hear that.
It was like catching a falling knife. I was buying it all the way down. It was a disaster, but I'm back on the upswing.
I was gonna say, I mean, but you did the right thing by buying on the way down, because it's the people that sell on the way down that really lose.
Very true. How long does it take you guys to put together this podcast? Like, how much time do you put in outside of just filming and?
Well, so for the video itself, like when I used to do it, would take me a while because I was learning how to do like editing and stuff like that. Thankfully, we like to be pretty raw and like just fucking keep the whole video and not cut shit out unless we really have to. And so that process, and however, depending on the computer, sometimes his computer sucks and it takes forever to upload and export. But then like outside of that, the constant like networking to try to get people to be on the podcast, like I'm doing that all day, every day, like planting seeds, starting conversations with people, and then just being kind of tied into what people are seeing on social media versus what I find interesting or the ways that it triggers me to think about what could be a good conversation. Him too, like, and then we have an app where we put all our topics together, like
Pod is live.
and then
boss.
we're talking every single day. We have our business meetings. We're talking about, okay, what's the next level? Like, how's this content going to look? What are we going to do different? Like all, like it's basically a full-time job, but
Pod is life.
Yeah, pod is life. We're not getting super paid for it now. Like we are monetized on YouTube now, which is cool. The fact that it happened
Congrats.
in under
That's awesome.
a year is like our goal for subscribers at the end of 2020 was 100. And at the end of 2020, we had about 500. And at the end of 2020, we said, okay, what's our next goal for the end of 2021? We said 1,500. And we're already at 35 something. So we're blowing ourselves out of the water, but like now we got to like aim higher.
Yeah.
Like
Jimmy, what are you gonna do about that, man? How you gonna aim higher?
Man, dude, I got so many ideas flowing through my head every single day, and I'm
it's
just
really
constant.
creative.
Hell yeah.
I'm just excited, man. That's all it is. I'm just excited I love doing this. I love recording. I love talking to people. I love having the funny episodes. I love having the informational episodes. It's just all a great time all around and in general. And I love meeting people like you who, you know, are super like transparent, genuine, and you bring something great to the world. You like to help people. And we relate on that level because I love to help people too. And so just everything that revolves around this podcast is just great energy to me. And that's what I love about it the most, is that I feel the energy and I feel it reciprocated as well. And, you know, I just love giving it back, and it's just a full cycle of great energy. So.
And I feel like it's leveling us up in like many ways.
Hell yeah.
Like just not just like monetarily, you know what I mean? But like I've never in my life thought, okay, I'm going to have an LLC. And like, here we are. You know what I mean? Like, this is crazy. And then all the self-worth and self-respect and like, you know, everything that comes with that kind of a freedom, like, and moving that direction. It's like, it's pretty cool.
Everything is a part of a greater plan.
And the people that it attracts that are like good, and the people that leave your life that weren't good for you, you know?
Daniel, all of this was already written. Us being on a podcast with you right now, your new level research, SideFriend Chronicles, the great energy, all that, it was already written. Man, dude, can you tell everybody how to find your product and your social media and all that great stuff?
Yeah, sure. So at New Level Research on Instagram, newlevelresearch.com. It's with a U, NU, levelresearch.com. I'd say we're not super active on Instagram. We have a Shopify store that we crank out a lot of stuff on, and man, we have a lot of cool stuff coming out. So I hope to do more content-based stuff like digital products, teach people how to meditate, beginners courses on just different ways to level up. So
That'd be dope.
it'll be fun.
Super awesome, man. Well, thank you so much for joining us on the SideFriend Slide Through today. We highly appreciate you coming through.
Likewise. Thank you, guys.
Everybody, Daniel of New Level Research. Thank you for tuning in. I didn't play the music in the beginning, huh?
Didn't. We just went right into
It's all good. We had
didn't
some
go party
serious
mode.
and great things to talk about. We'll check you all next episode, Monday live. We out.
SideFriend Slide Through.